So, Rudy, where you think you started to get into the criminal life?
Um, I would say, oh,
I'm sorry, we cut out. How many years ago?
5 or 6 years ago.
Okay, so it wasn't like a lifetime thing.
No, not for me. I worked all my life.
Okay, all right. Now you had an issue with a loan shark, correct?
Yes.
Um, would you mind explaining what happened? Where uh, maybe take us through. All right, you borrowed the money, and then what happened?
I borrowed the money on a 5,000. It was $5,000. And that $5,000 I paid faithfully every month. I even actually looked for the kid every month to pay him. He didn't even have to come and look for me. Okay, that's the kind of customer I was. Okay,
Yeah,
borrowed 5,000. I took. They wanted 1,300 a month, which at that time I should have said no right away. That's absolutely astronomical. You got to be stupid to agree to it, but I didn't say that. Took the deal.
yeah. So when did the problems with that particular loan start to come about?
I I paid the loan for approximately 2.5 years, right? And if you do the math on that, I mean, I know the way the business works. I'm just giving you a little bit of history. That the way that works is I paid like 75 or 80,000 back on the 5,000, but that's the way the business is, and I knew that going into it. Right? Um, the thing of it is, I paid faithfully 2.5 years. Then I had a daughter that was 5, 6 years old, and I was living on Social Security, and I was, 17, 2,000 a month. And out of that, I was paying them $1,300, and I did it faithfully for 2.5 years.
Right.
Then after the 2.5 years came, I said to Cecchetelli, I need to talk to you. So I pulled him aside. We went to the club in the back room where we used to have meetings. I explained my situation. He said, "No, there's really nothing I can do about it." I said, "What are you talking about? There's nothing you can do about it. You're paying it 2.5 years. You make back 20 times your money. I hang around down here. I do stuff. I don't get what you're saying. You know what I mean?" He said,
Right.
"No, no, no. I answer to other people too. So you got to realize that." I said, "I don't care who you answer to. I can't do this anymore." So then he would send me to another person. Another person would send me back to him. It was back and forth, back and forth. So I said to myself, I got to make a decision on what I'm going to do here, right?
Yeah.
I went, um, I happened to go to a barber shop one day in East Springfield. My brother and his friend Damien were there, and they were in the cellar doing a podcast or something. I went down cellar to sit with him through the podcast. And when I came back up, my brother and Damien came back up with me. There happened to be a gentleman sitting in the chair getting his hair cut. My brother said to me, "That guy there, is a state cop. He's in charge of the organized task force. This is Murphy." Okay, so I waited till after he had his hair cut, and I said, "Could I talk to you for a minute?" And before this, I, I had no idea who to go to or anything. I wasn't in the, the police life or the feds or any of that, right? So this was
Right.
for me. So I'm saying to myself, I got a couple options, and I chose to take the option that was the wrong option. 4 years later, saying to my, I'm saying to myself, if I had to do it over again, I would have chose a different way, but I didn't choose it. So my brother said that guy is in charge of organized task force. Maybe you could talk to him and he could help you. Okay. So I said, okay, I'll wait. So I waited till after he got his haircut. And then I pulled him aside and I told him what my situation was. And he said, "There's really nothing I can do for you because I'm retired now, but I can give you a guy's name that is in the FBI that runs the organized task force along with the state police." I said, well, that would be a help, if I go that route. So he gave me the guy's number. It was very hard to make because I'm so against it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying after the fact. I'm against it now, and I'm against it then. And I'm sorry I went that way now. This is the way I went. Okay, so I called the state. I called the Fed number that Murphy State Police retired game. And they told me.
Chicky, I'm sorry, Rudy. Hold on one sec because we just cut out right before you were talking about the state trooper. If you wouldn't mind repeating yourself.
Do you want me to read the part that time out?
About 15 seconds ago.
Okay, so So you want me to start the part of the bar? You got that?
No. We got the whole barbershop thing. It was, after you made that decision and everything, you were, I believe, still in the barbershop.
Yeah, Lefty, could I take a break for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, so we're back. And just to get something clear for all the viewers out there, you haven't been paid or influenced or pressured in any way to come on here and share the this information, have you?
No, not at all.
Just
No.
want to make sure because it does happen where people constantly look to poke holes in things.
Yeah. No, that's
All right. So you were in the barber shop and you came across Damien and your brother, and your brother ended up saying, "Hey," he pointed out the gentleman who he thought was still working as the organized crime task force head.
right. He didn't know he retired.
Right. And your brother pointed him out and said,
Yeah.
he can possibly help you with your problems.
Right. Because I didn't know him from a hole in the wall.
Right. So basically, your brother knew what he was sending you over there to do.
Of course. I mean, why would he say to go see that guy? I don't, you know what I mean? Well, I don't know the guy. What am I going to talk about if it wasn't that? That's the only problem I had.
Right. So, all right. So after you make contact with the ex-police task force leader, he gives you a number, correct?
Right. He gave me the number to the FBI gang task force that took over his position, basically.
Okay. And so let's take it from there. After you, how long until you guys were meeting up?
I made the call that night to the number he gave me, and they met me the next day, the feds and the state police at a cemetery off Wolverham Road, way in the back. And I had to get into their van, and then that's when the questioning all started, and that's when the story got out. When I started telling them my situation.
Okay. And what kind of questions were they interested in anything particular?
Just what I got a hold of them for. So I explained the situation with the loan shark money, and I didn't know what route to go. I was going to go another route, but I figured, I would go, the legal way. But as bad as I was against it, I still did it. Okay, but regardless of that, they questioned me for like 45 minutes. We want to make sure you're not playing both sides, trying to get information from us, or we're trying to get information from you, and making sure that I was a credible witness.
Right, right.
And
So,
after the information I gave them, within 45 minutes, they accepted to take it on because they thought I was very trustworthy in the way I talked.
I see. So, how long would you say you worked for them?
3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Okay. And let me ask you, did your brother when you left the barber shop, did your brother contact you and ask how it went?
My brother asked me later on in the day, um, was that guy able to help you? And I said, yeah, he gave me a number.
Okay.
So evidently my brother knew the route I was going, right? It wasn't,
Well, it seems to me like your brother suggested that you go that route by, pointing out that gentleman in the barber shop. I don't see any other.
there's no other motive. I don't know the guy from Ohonowa. It'd be like me meeting you for the first time, like I did today, right? I
Right,
nothing to discuss with you other than when I'm on your program discussing, you know?
right, right. Now, would there be any motive your brother would have to get Shabeli off the streets by, having you inform on him?
Yeah, because my brother's a jealous, very jealous person. My brother likes to cause problems anywhere he goes and wants to act like he's Al Capone, you know,
Right,
you know. So that's what I'm trying to say. So he's trying to make him portray himself out to be something that he's not. And I knew it my whole life, and I never acted that way in my life. You could ask anybody. You know what I mean?
right. Okay.
He,
Did Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. He owed money to them guys too. He borrowed money from them and was paying every week. Okay,
See, how much money did he owe? Do you happen to know?
I think 3,500.
Okay.
And I don't know. He was paying 500 or 600 a week, but I'm thinking to myself, he maybe turned me on to the feds, figuring if they arrested Shabeli and all this went down, he wouldn't have to pay anymore either.
I see. So there seems to be ulterior motives than just looking out for his brother.
In other words, putting somebody else out there to take the heat where he stays in the background.
Yeah, right. I've experienced that
Yeah,
with him and Damien.
yeah. Well, you know what? If that was the case, I did it for myself. I didn't do it to save him. He's supposed to be the big mobster, not me. Okay. You know,
Right.
I throw this in there. When I had the problem with when I stopped, I couldn't pay that kind of money, right?
Uh
If
huh.
I was such a big shot in the mob, and my nephew was such a big shot Latin King leader from here to Florida, the whole East Coast. Why didn't these guys have enough respect that he hung around with for all his life to go to him and say, "Can you talk to your brother about he's starting to have a problem paying?" And my brother and my nephew would have met us down there. We maybe could have worked something out and saved all this problem. You know what I'm saying? If I'm
Right.
if I'm that big in the city, I'm gonna go to them guys and say, "You ain't laying a hand on my brother. You're gonna talk to me, and we're gonna work something out right here, and I'm gonna lay the rules down, and that's the way it's gonna be, and it ain't going any different." You get what I'm saying?
I do. They if he was anybody, they would have gone to him instead of
But what kind of respect did they have for him? His longtime friends. That should tell you something, okay?
right, right. So this whole time he knew. I just want to be clear. This whole time he knew that you were cooperating.
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
Uh, but
or anybody else was to ask him, he would deny it to this day that he knew it. Okay. But I know for a fact he knew it because the feds came to my house uh,
uh-huh.
and asked me where he lived. And I didn't know the exact address, but I gave them the house number and they went directly to his house. And I guess talked to him, but he didn't agree to sign paperwork, but he did give them information, you know, and he
Okay.
considered like, but he's considered like witness number five. but it never went to that point where he had to actually get on the stand. You know what I'm saying? So what I did out in the open, he did in the background. So who's worse? I'd rather be out in the open than, you know what I'm saying, than be an undercover rat. Okay?
Yeah, snake in the grass.
Yeah. I'd rather be the snake above the grass. Okay?
Yep. So, how? I'm just curious. Who did the federal agents come back and tell you that?
The federal agents came back 2 days after, and they said to me, "We talked to your brother. You know, he told us some. They didn't tell me what he said, but they said he told us some stuff, but he wouldn't sign paperwork that we needed him to sign. So I don't know if that paperwork's that important to sign, or they can't use it if you don't sign it. But I know when I met with him, I signed paperwork. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know the way that system works.
Fair enough.
You know
Fair
what I mean?
enough.
Only
Yeah.
thing, Lefty, the only thing that confused me on the whole thing, right?
Uh-huh.
If my brother was anybody or respected at all by anybody or was in even as good friends your whole life with somebody, don't you think they would have had the courtesy to go to him, tell him the problem, and see if we could all sat down as gentlemen and worked it out? And I'd be paying to this day. So they lost all the way around, but I lost too because I've been laying low for 4 years. Don't come out of the house half the time, and I'm not scared of anybody. It's because I'm embarrassed of what I did because that's not my nature. Okay.
Right. And I'm sure it doesn't help that your brother's out there besmirching your name even more, and
No,
being
your
you
own
know
brother against you. You know.
publicly denouncing you and calling you a rat when
Yeah.
in fact he's the actual informant that's ratting people out secretively.
Let me ask you this question, Lefty. You're interviewing me. I just thought of something. Let me ask you this question. If he never pointed out that guy in the barber shop, right?
Yeah.
I would have never known where to go. Where would I have went to the Springfield Police Department? They would have said, "Get out of here." You
Would
know,
it have even crossed your mind?
of course not. You know what I mean? But I was so confused at what way I was going to take it. I was getting to the point where I was going to handle it myself, whatever way that could have been. I'm not saying what way it could have been because I didn't go that way, but it wouldn't
Right.
have ended nicely. I could tell you that. Okay.
So it certainly makes a difference when someone puts an idea in your head
Well,
or points you in a certain direction.
of course, because it makes your decision easier, but it didn't make it easier inside my mental head. You know what I mean? But I knew that I was in a corner, so I had to do something. It's like when you trap a rat in a corner, he's gonna come out for your neck. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when I went to these guys time after time and they wouldn't work with me, and never went to my brother or my nephew or anybody, I figure I got no choice. It's one of two things, and I chose one thing and I didn't choose the other thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, even the fact that your brother knew you had problems and he didn't even bother to reach out to them, he simply suggested you go the route of cooperating with the authorities.
Well, exactly. Or he would have went to them and said, he's been paying 2.5 years. No matter how the system works, I'm hanging around down there every day. I'm doing a ton of stuff for everybody. I'm probably doing more stuff than my brother did for them guys. Okay. So you could say I was in the life more than he was in the life. Okay. I wasn't out there in the public acting like I was Al Capone. I was, what I mean?
Right. Now, Chicky says he was a bookie in charge of an entire building, so to speak. Is there any truth to that, or
I know this. I knew this that he booked numbers for Bruno, right? the guy that got killed. Okay, he booked numbers for him, but being the biggest and taking in the most, I don't believe that. Okay, because there was a lot of people booking. Okay, so he could say or make up anything he wants, but he was not the biggest. Okay, he got so lazy that he used to go on the front porch and just go where anybody, he didn't care who heard him taking numbers and stuff. That's when you get sloppy, and that's what got him caught. Okay, when I used to say to him all the time, you can't just be out here flamboyantly because you've been doing it, 10 years. Your time's running out. But he's so lazy. When he moved to Ludlow, when he was doing it, when he was married, he threw the paperwork in the barrel up front. Feds went and got the paperwork out of the barrel. That's how he got caught. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that's how he ended up getting caught.
That's how he got caught. So nobody, he got himself caught. Lazy. He got himself caught. Comfortable job.
I see. So, aside from answering the phones, did you know him to be out in the street doing other things?
I don't know what he did. I wasn't out in the street with him, but I know maybe he was picking up money here and there from people, just all low level, all very low level stuff.
Right, like an errand boy, nothing significant.
Yeah, like sweeping the barbershop floor, the hair.
Yeah. So now, your brother, did he ever ask you, hey, when are these guys going to do their job? Was he worried about the first of the month coming up?
Yeah. He asked me a few times. The first is coming. Them guys are doing a real good job for you. I said, I have no idea how long this thing takes. It's like I never did this before, and I wish I never did. But it was late. I was already involved.
Right. And the difference between you and your brother is you actually own your actions.
Yeah, 100%. It was the worst mistake of my life, and I live with it every day. Okay.
Understandable.
4 years I haven't had a life because I'm scared because of the way I feel inside, because that's not my makeup. Okay. Here I'm hanging around with all these guys every day, riding around with them, being with them down the club 7 days a week, getting involved in running the club for a year or so. I did a lot of stuff down there, and then have to turn around like that and do what I did. It's like everything I was against.
Right. And your brother didn't seem to have any problem with this, did he?
No. Problem with what, though, specifically?
With you being cooperating with the federal government.
Oh, but my brother's been very jealous of me his whole life since he's been 10 years old. And he's got more than I got. Just jealousy. I don't know, maybe because my brain is so much smarter. Maybe because I never went on any kind of drugs. I never drank. He did it all. I never did it. I'm 65 years old. I never did a drug, or I never drank a beer in my life. So that's why my mind is the way it is. Okay.
Right. So no, the reason I ask is because he comes on all these podcasts and shows.
I haven't watched not one.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about your brother on the podcast and shows. He's against all rats, and basically says he feels very strongly about this, but yet he still lives with you.
Right. Let me ask you this: if he's against all rats, right? When Aralata got out of prison, the same day Aralata got out of prison, he was over Aralata's house. If you're against rats, aren't you supposed to stay away from rats?
I believe so.
If I'm such a big rat, right? He's got the money. How come he didn't get his own apartment 4 years ago?
Right.
Okay.
So he maintained contact with Anthony Aralata after he was released from prison.
100%.
Okay.
100%. And he kept in contact with me, living with me, telling me everything that was going on. Now, if you think somebody's a rat, are you going to tell them anything? No, right?
No.
He
So
would have got out as soon as he could, right?
exactly. If he
Okay.
felt that strongly, and from what I understand, what you just said, he has money saved.
Yeah.
He could have easily gotten in his own place.
100%, 100 times over. Okay.
All right. So give me one sec. So your brother, he I don't mean to jump around, but it just keeps going back in my head. Your brother served in the Navy, right?
Yeah, he served in the Navy for 9 months.
9 months, really?
9 months. No war time, nothing.
Now, what was the story he told you?
I know the real story. I don't know what story he told other people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is what is the story he told you, and the story happened?
The story he told me was they were working on the decks, him and a few other guys, and they were staying in the decks, and it was some chemical that he said got in his eye, and that's why he got an honorable discharge with full disability from the Navy. But the part that his eye was closing and stuff, that was happening to him before he even went in the Navy. He just used it to benefit himself to get out of the Navy.
I see.
And
so he had the myasthenia gravis before he was in the Navy.
Right, but he wasn't diagnosed with that. They didn't know what it was. They thought it was some kind of muscle problem, but they didn't name it until after he got out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I know he had a problem with his eye his whole life, but he used the Navy figuring that was the way he could get out and get 100% disabled.
Now, he said on a show recently, on an interview, that it was him and 2 other sailors that were exposed to this chemical, and one was in a wheelchair and one had passed away.
Well, the story he told me, I'm only going by what he told me. I mean, I don't know what to believe because he's all over the place, but the both guys that were working with him didn't pursue disability. And up to this day right now, as far as I'm concerned, with what he told me, nothing happened to either one of them. Okay?
Really? Okay. And were they in on it? Or did
I don't know if they were in on it? I can't answer that question. I don't know what was in their minds.
No, I mean, were they aware that he was doing that at the end with his eye and the chemical splash?
I don't even think he let them on.
Okay. No, I was just curious if it was like a group thing.
And he told me on more than one occasion that he used to pray every night when he went in his bunk in the Navy in the ship to God, that God would give him some disease to get him out of the Navy. Imagine saying that.
Wow.
You're hearing it right from the horse's mouth, my friend. Anything I say to you, I don't lie. That's how my mind is, my brain, okay?
Right. Well, that's why I agreed to have you on, is because, in our brief conversation before, you seem to come off very truthful and direct.
Yeah, I'm not going to, when the truth is the truth. You could ask me 25 years from now, I could say word for word what I'm saying to you right now. When you lie, you got to try to cover that lie time after time after time. Eventually you get caught, okay?
You're absolutely right, man. You can stay out of the shit, the proverbial shit, as long as you tell the truth.
Like I said, you can interview me 20 years from now and word for word, I bet you I'd be off a couple words, but the content will be the same as what I'm telling you. Okay.
Right. Sorry about that. Anyways, so did he go? So what exactly happened? Because the story I was told is he went AWOL, was found, given 3 days to come back. And how long after that did he have that accident? Do you know?
Well, he was in the Navy total of 9 months. I think he was in about 6 months when he went AWOL, and they gave him 3 days to get back there, and he did make it back in the 3 days.
Okay.
And no more than 3 months after that is when he got just an honorable discharge. So from the time he went AWOL to the time this happened, right?
Yeah.
More than 3 months because he did 9 months total. You know.
Right. So there was a post where he said he got a scar on his head
Right.
from an explosion on a Navy ship.
Well, let me tell you, want to know how he got that scar? He used to drink and drive or take pills or whatever he did. And he was getting off the Armory Street exit and he was reaching in the back seat, high as a kite, to reach in the back seat for a couple pieces of pizza that he had, that he wanted to shove in his fat face. And when he looked up, he was on the guardrail. Okay, so the scar wasn't from an explosion. You know what explosion it was from? The guardrail of one of them stuffing his face. Okay.
Wow.
You want the truth? I tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes the truth is ugly.
I wouldn't even be doing this if he didn't down me all the time like I'm a scumbag. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree with you, and that's another reason why I agreed to give you a platform.
Yeah, even going against Chiavelli the way I did, I still got more respect in the streets for not being a liar and everything that I got more I get more respect than he does, and he thinks he's a mobster. Okay.
Right. He does. So he does go around town and represents himself as a gangster.
I think so. I'm not with him ever, but the way he acts, even
right. So, what exactly did he have any? Was he making any plans after he found out that you were an informant?
No. Well, what plans would he? The only plan he made was he wouldn't have to pay again.
Okay.
To me,
No. I didn't know if he had any dreams of grandeur or anything like that, so to speak. All right, let's see.
when I went to them feds and I worked with them, we're going after a guy that's got an arrest record that is a nobody, complete nobody, just an associate hanging around the club, doing all the dirty work for people. So it isn't like he got away with it anyway because he only got 4 months, in my opinion. Okay, for
right.
4 slaps like I did, and in real life, in real time, I would have kicked him 4 streets away if they weren't watching me. Okay, because I would have never took a slap like that from nobody. My mother, my father never slapped me. Okay? But I had to play the role. You understand how hard that is?
I can't imagine.
Well,
That would be difficult for any real man.
yeah, exactly. Somebody, especially that hated him, not because I was paying him, just because whoever he was working with or for, it went to his head like he was the big tough guy that ran the whole, that was in charge of the whole operation, and he was a nobody. He was a junkie, drinker, drunk. That's what he was. Okay, and I can talk because I never did either one of them. You know what I mean?
Yep. So, what has your brother, ever called the authorities on you?
Yes. That's not a rat. I don't know. What you call that? Call that a gangster? I don't know. Yeah, he called it
And,
authority. He
how
got me.
recently has he called the authorities on you?
It had to be a few months ago. He got me. I picked up, would have hit him in the head.
Hold on. We just had a little glitch. I apologize. Right when you started speaking, we cut out. I think we're good now.
Yeah. What I was trying to say is, yeah, he called the cops. We had a fight. And, he house an accident. Would have hit him in the head. He'd be dead. I'd be in jail the rest of my life. Then he called the cops
Oh, I see.
and had him down the street. So who does that? Who does that? If you're a gangster, you need to call the cops.
Right. Did he try to press charges or no? Okay. Well, at least there's that.
Well, I mean, they dropped it. They said to him, "Can you guys stay together?" I said, "Other, he goes upstairs and pays the lift." That's the way it makes sense. But somebody that's supposed to not like me or hate me as much as he does tells me every little thing that goes on in the street. Okay, so if he thinks I'm a rat, right? I'm a rat. I admit it. Right? I worked for the feds. Right? I'm owning up to it. Wouldn't I be the last guy you would tell anything to?
Yeah. I actually I heard Chicky is the last or the first person you want to tell something to if you want to get the word around.
Oh, it'll be through the city in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes.
Boy.
But he's got written all over his body and T-shirts and everything, sweatshirts. Omerta, Omerta is a sacred oath that you never turn on. And he ain't even a made guy. He ain't even a gangster. He ain't nothing. He's just a street. Why is he wearing? I don't get it.
Well, because he said, well, when I talked to him, I asked him because he made a comment in one interview that he said his name was getting passed around,
Right.
and basically admitted that it was in his own head that they were why wouldn't they pass his name around?
So let me ask you this question. This is what I don't. If he's not a rat, right? Why would you have to wear a Merc that when people see that they laugh more at him about the sweatshirt that they're looking at in his hand than they would if he didn't do anything like that? He's bringing more attention to himself. Do you agree?
I would definitely agree that yeah, you're right.
I mean, you're wearing on your sweatshirt, weigh 400 pounds, big lettering across your chest. You're a target. You stupid. Is he stupid?
Well, what Chicky likes to say is, the loudest person in the room screaming rats is
Yep.
usually a rat.
Well, then he should look in the mirror, no?
I think so.
You
I
know?
think so. You know, Uh, were there other things that were suspect?
A suspect in what way?
Um, well, the Fed said he was playing both sides, and he came on and said him and his lawyer were trying to help Shabelli.
Yeah, well, that's 100% false. Okay, that's 100% false. He wasn't trying. He said that, but that wasn't what he was doing. Okay, he hated Shelley so much he would never even think of helping. I know that for a fact. To this day, he hates. Okay,
Okay.
but what my brother does? He goes with how the wind takes him. You understand what I'm saying? Me, I'm straight up. If I think one way or I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm not wishy washy back and forth. You're my friend one day, you're not the next. You know what I mean? I'm just that tight.
Yeah.
like me or not like me. I could care less, but I'm going to get the real me.
Uh, Believe me, I'm the same way. What you see is what you get.
That's it.
So
You know?
it's unfortunate when people need to portray something they're not.
That's what makes me the maddest, okay?
Right. Like I said, he's the one who directed you to the head of what he thought was an organized crime task force, and
Oh,
he's out here
no, he,
condemning you.
right. He didn't think. He knew the guy personally. Because
Right.
he lived in our neighborhood,
Okay.
okay? He used to always stop and say, Chicky, you ain't nothing wrong, are you? And all this stuff. So he definitely knew who the guy was that he sent me to. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The guy was
Right.
to me. Can we take like a 5-minute break just so I can use the bathroom?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're back.
Okay.
So, I is there anything, you'd like to get off your chest or tell people out there who might feel that, who might not be aware? Actually, scratch that. Hold on. Is there anything out there, or is there anything you'd like to say to the people out there in the chats that watch these things?
Yeah, I'd like to say I wish my biggest wish after 4 years of the hell that I lived in within myself is that I ever went into the barbershop that day, because I would have took things at a different level, and it wouldn't have ended like this, and I wouldn't have to live within myself feeling the way I do. You know what I'm saying? There's not many people that it would bother, but I was so against doing what I did. Every time I had to meet them guys, I was so apprehensive. It wasn't funny. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It didn't feel right. I didn't belong with them. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm a big gangster of any kind. I was just an associate. They were all my friends. I did what I did, whatever I did, and it was nothing huge. You know what I mean? But you never heard anybody say I was a gangster. I acted like one. That's not me. You know what I mean? So people, they could take this interview for what it's worth, but I definitely could tell you one thing. I'm admitting what I did right on your podcast, and I'm ashamed of what I did. If I had to do it all over again, it would be completely different. But sometimes in life, you do things, and then it's too late to go back and change.
Right. You just got to keep looking forward.
That's it. You know what I mean? So
You
that's basically my story, I guess. In full.
Yeah.
I really got nothing else to add to it. You know what I mean? If I did, it really wouldn't make much difference because we covered a lot of points here.
Right. Right. And I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you'd like to say to your brother David?
What is there to say? I mean, he talks behind my back to everybody. That's never going to change. He did it all his life. He does not like me for some reason, and I don't know what that reason is. But I do think it's because of jealousy, because of my brain versus his brain, and he knows I can outthink him and outmaneuver him 100 to 1, and I think
Right.
he gets to him. Okay.
Well, hopefully, this brings light to the situation that you guys, experienced together. And unfortunately, or hopefully, I should say, your brother stops bad mouthing you and pretending to be something he's not.
Well, you know what? In my opinion, I never see that day happening. Okay, because it seems to me he's on house arrest now, and it's worse now that he's got extra time on all these shows. Uh, Angel Gotti's show. I mean, I don't watch none of them. I just hear them from being in the cellar on different shows every night. I mean, like to me, like a little girl. That's almost like a soap opera every night. You know what I mean?
I do.
All
I really do.
bashing everybody. I don't get it.
I don't either, man. You know, you shouldn't throw stones in a glass house.
No, especially come be like me, genuine. Come on, tell the truth. Get off, and you never hear from me again. You know.
Exactly. And one more thing, your brother, he was a long-term methadone user, right?
Big time. 15 years.
Okay. Just that was just for me though.
Yeah.
So
Saying is that's probably part of his jealousy too. That I was straight all the time. I told you, drank a beer. So in his head, that killed him. Okay. That I could have that kind of control.
right. Rudy, I like I said, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on and telling the truth and telling your side of the story. So
The interview, you know, you're a great interviewer, and you got a lot of experience by the way you talk to me. You treated me with respect. I mean, just the way you come on, and you don't think you're better than anybody. I just like you as a person. I don't even know you, you know, and I'm a pretty good judge of character.
well, I appreciate the kind words, and once again, I can't thank you enough. All right, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, guys, there you go. David Cecchetelli's brother, Rudy, setting the record straight. I hope this was entertaining and informative for everyone who watches. Have a good night, morning, or afternoon, whatever time you happen to see this. Take care.